This is my ePortfolio on Digication through the University of Laverne. My name is Isabel Chang, and this is an ePortfolio that I started 2 years ago. As you can tell, I've already taken most of the education courses, including technology for educators, instructional approaches to physical education, instructional approaches to mathematics, instructional approaches to social studies, children's literature in the classroom, and I've also completed the science one and the writing course, but they were not required to have an ePortfolio. But when I have time, I may add a tab just to add to it. But you can see the first page is just an introductory page, who I am, how you can contact me, and a quote that I believe is relevant to my future teaching career. It says, "Everyone who remembers his own education remembers teachers, not methods and techniques. The teacher is the heart of the educational system." And I do strongly believe this, as my future and my current situation is very heavily influenced by the teachers I had in the past. In first grade was when my teacher convinced me that teaching would be something that I would be really great at. And here I am, 20 years later, and really into teaching. This page also has more about me. I used this avatar maker that was used for my science class. There are pictures in here that show a little bit more about me, that I'm on the swim team, got to travel with the honors course, involved in the swim team and the honors course here. So the next one is my educational philosophy. I had to do this for one of my classes, and basically why I want to teach, how I got to teaching, and why I think it's so important, and also the future for education. I included my resume just in case anyone wanted to see my past experiences. I do have a lot of work experience and volunteer experience with working with children. Finally, there's a Be Inspired page where I just wrote for another class about why I wanted to be a teacher, and I wanted to share that. And also another essay on why we should go to college and why you should study hard in high school. So getting into it, here's the tab for literature class. I only have two because I decided to put it all into one module. But all the modules from every week is in here because I think that it is important to show my opinion and how I feel about literature, since most of the questions were pretty opinionated. Each week is labeled for what is in that module. I included this banned book week censorship pictochart that I created for the class, which includes a QR code, and if you go to the technology tab, it will explain to you how to use those and how I feel about them. I have created a few of these before for resumes that I attach to the back of like a business card for other schools to contact me. And there's a few videos within these modules that we had to do. So yeah, I think each of the modules were really interesting for me, and I'm really glad that we had an entire week to work on each genre. I learned a lot more about each genre than I expected to. And I feel like this is a great way to teach literature in my classroom, which is through units based on genres. And I think the most important part of my ePortfolio is the projects tab, which has all the big projects that we did in the class. The reader response blogs are very interesting. I had a lot of fun writing them, and a lot of fun reading each of the books, and I think this is probably one of the most eye-opening experiences for me, just because it caused me to read some books and look at things from a different perspective, especially since we had to discuss with other people, and I read books that I wouldn't ever pick up. The fieldwork experience did 3 hours at the Pasadena Central Library, which was gorgeous, and you can see my reflection on here. I did 3 hours at the Family Literacy Night, which was very exciting, as I could see all the excitement from the families who came together to learn about things, and it was very good. And I fully expect this to be a traditional thing that will go on for a long time. 2 hours of the guest speaker presentation, which is about food and nutrition. And then finally, 7 hours at Cortez Magnet Children's Library, where I helped sort the books and help any students who needed help finding books. You can see my reflection for that here as well. The Family Literacy Backpack, I've never heard of this before, and upon further investigation, I discovered that it is one of the most helpful tools in the classroom that will help you bring literature back home. I know a lot of parents are not able to be involved in their children's lives just because they're working or they don't have time to go find a book. So having these backpacks to bring home and having everything ready for you and just to read a book at night, it'll only take like 15-20 minutes, makes it a lot easier, and I will definitely use this idea in my classroom. So you can see the video of what I did. This one's one for kindergarten about the sky. Another project we did is the author study project, where me and Jennifer Flores, a classmate in my class, did a report on Julie Berry, and I got to watch other presentations from other students as well in the class, and I learned a lot about how the background of the author can really affect a book. And I totally agree. I've written some short stories, and they're always loosely based on events that's happened in my life or that I think happened in other people's lives. So it's very interesting that you'll always be able to see a little bit of the author within the book. And finally, the virtual library on Google Books. I've never used Google Books before, but this was actually a lot easier than it turned out. I did do this kind of last minute, as it was something that I had in the back of my mind, but just kept forgetting to get to it, honestly. But when I did finish it, I was really proud of the work that I did, and this is one of my favorite assignments. If you look at the virtual library information document, this one, I worked really hard to get through all of that. So yeah, this is basically my ePortfolio. I think the hardest presentation or thing I had to do in here was probably the literacy backpack, just trying to figure out what would be best for the students. But the family that I gave it to really enjoyed it, and they're hoping that I can make a new one. So hopefully over the winter break or even in summer, if I don't have time, since I am graduating in May, I can make one for them. And they had requested something about the solar system. So yeah, thank you so much for listening, and I'll see you online. Have a great semester.